Welcome to Read or Listen. Started a while back to read articles here. If you're too busy to just go read them online or while you're driving or working out. Now we're going to let Notebook LM read some of these articles. Let's see what happens. Enjoy.
Hello, this is another chapter from the book PHP and LLMs. This one's called Standards Checking. And as I said a moment ago, Notebook LM will talk about this. This is a deceiving title since the pattern can be used for so many other workflows like grant writing, RFP proposals, marketing voice, related content checking, and more. All right, enjoy.
Ever wished you had someone meticulously checking your documents to make sure everything's perfect, marketing materials, code, anything, all matching those standards we need to follow?
Yeah, like an assistant who can just make sure your marketing always nails the brand voice or double checks every line of code. That'd be amazing.
Exactly. And today we're diving into this really cool approach from PHP and LLMs to build, kind of our own standards checking tool.
What I find fascinating is how this takes something like, just checking for typos, which is already useful, and expands it to much more complex stuff. Imagine automatically evaluating, say, RFPs and how they stack up against your company's solutions, see where you stand instantly.
It's like automating all that knowledge work that used to take forever. And the best part, this book makes it achievable even if you're still getting the hang of LLMs.
Exactly. That's what's so powerful about this. It combines LLMs with PHP, something a lot of developers are already comfortable with. So instead of just huge companies with tons of resources, now individuals and smaller teams can leverage this kind of technology.
Absolutely. And speaking of things we all deal with, this book chapter tackles a big one: standards. Think about it. Brand voice, coding style, legal stuff, we all have them.
And let's be honest, managing all that manually, it's a pain. It takes up so much time. And let's be real, mistakes happen, and nobody wants to be that person pointing them out all the time.
You're telling me. It's like constantly playing whack-a-mole with errors. And that's where this approach comes in, right? The book guides us through building a tool with PHP and LLMs that takes over that whole tedious process, automating the boring stuff, as they say.
Exactly. So instead of checking each line ourselves, we're basically building a system that understands those standards and becomes an expert at evaluating documents, like having a dedicated team, but without the overhead.
Okay, so instead of me going line by line, we're making something that can understand what I'm looking for and just do it for me.
Precisely. You start by feeding the tool a document. The book uses PDFs as an example, but it can be applied much more broadly. The system then cleverly divides that document into smaller, manageable parts, almost like meticulously organized notes. This makes it way easier for the LLM to handle.
Makes sense, breaking things down into bite-sized pieces. But how does the tool even know what to do with those pieces? Do we have to, pre-program all the rules?
That's where it gets really cool. This is where we use what are called prompts. We give the LLM specific instructions tailored to what we need it to do. And the best part, you're not limited by some preset options. You define what matters. Checking for clarity, consistent style, anything you can think of.
So I can tell it exactly what I'm looking for.
Exactly. It's like giving the LLM a crash course in what's important to you. Want to make sure something's easy for beginners to understand? No problem, build it into the prompt.
This is already blowing my mind, and we're just getting started. So we give our document to this tool, break it down, give our LLM instructions. What happens next?
Well, now we get into what's called prompt engineering, which sounds fancy, but is really about crafting these prompts to get the best results. And the book actually gives us some really handy examples, like say if you're checking chapters in a programming book, the prompt might be something like, "You are an expert editor who specializes in programming books. Focus on whether it's easy for a new programmer to understand, if the code examples are complete, and if there are any typos."
It's like we're giving the LLM a whole cheat sheet for what to look for.
It's all about giving clear examples so the LLM knows exactly what you mean by good writing or coding. The more specific you are, the better the results.
This is making a lot more sense now. So the LLM looks at each section based on these prompts, but then what? Does it just tell us, yep, looks good, or nope, try again?
That's where it gets really, really interesting. It goes way beyond just a simple thumbs up or thumbs down.
Okay, you've got my attention.
It actually analyzes each section. A&D gives you a score based on the exact criteria you defined in those prompts. Imagine getting feedback from the most meticulous editor ever, but in an instant.
So instead of just a gut feeling, we get an actual score. That's awesome.
It's super useful. Think of it like a personalized report card for your document based on your own standards. And because we can fine-tune those prompts, It's like having a team of specialized assistants. Need a marketing report to nail that brand voice? Done. A code review that's extra picky about security? No problem. It adapts to whatever you throw at it.
This is way more than I expected, but honestly, is this something I could actually build, or are we talking like a whole team of engineers?
That's the coolest part. The book actually gives you real code examples, so you're not just left wondering, how did they do that? You get the tools to make it happen yourself.
They walk us through building a tool for a programming book chapter, right?
Yeah, and they share some of the actual code, which is amazing if you like getting your hands dirty.
Okay, so say I want to try this myself. I've got my PDF ready to go. What's the first thing they do?
Well, remember how we talked about breaking things down? The system needs to split that PDF into smaller chunks. In this case, they focus on analyzing each page separately.
Right, like breaking a big project into smaller steps. Makes sense. But how does it actually do that? Is that some crazy complicated PDF stuff?
You might be surprised. They use this PHP library, small PDF parser, to grab the text from each page. Simple, but it does the trick.
I love it when we can use tools that already exist. So I've got the text, what then?
Now those prompts we talked about come into play. Remember the example. You are an expert editor specializing in programming books. Focus on clarity for new developers, completeness of examples, and typos.
Yeah, like we're giving the LLM its mission before it dives in.
Exactly. We take that prompt, add in the text from one page, and feed it to the LLM. And what's cool is they actually show how to do this with a few different LLMs, even one called Grok, which is known for being super fast.
So we've got options. Amazing. But LLMs can be a bit, unpredictable. How do we make sure the results are actually good and that they make sense in this kind of system?
Great question. And it leads to a really smart part of their approach. See, they don't just ask the LLM for some vague analysis, they take it a step further. Instead of just one prompt, they use 2
2 prompts. Okay, now I'm really interested.
So the LLM does its analysis thing right, but then they hit it with a second prompt, this time asking it to turn that analysis into a number score.
Whoa. So
Yeah.
instead of just this page is unclear, it's like clarity, 3 out of 5.
Exactly. Now we've got something measurable, something we can actually use. And the book goes into how to write that second prompt so the scores are meaningful and consistent across the whole document.
That makes a lot of sense. So each page gets scored based on our criteria. Then what?
Well, now we've got data. The tool takes those scores from each page and combines them for an overall document score. Like, here's your chapter's report card.
I could see at a glance how well it's doing on clarity, completeness, whatever we decided was important.
Exactly. And you can always dig into the page-by-page scores for more detail.
This is incredible. I'm already thinking about how to use this for my own work, but is it only for, like, static documents? Or can we take it even further?
You read my mind. That's the exciting part. It's not limited to analyzing things that don't change. The book even talks about how to use this as part of a much bigger workflow.
Now you're speaking my language. Give me an example.
Okay, imagine your team is constantly getting different documents, reports, code, proposals, you name it. Instead of someone reviewing each one manually, what if we could automatically run them through this system?
Hold on. So a new report gets uploaded, and based on what it's and the standards WE set, the system just starts analyzing and scoring it.
You got it. And because we customize those prompts, it doesn't matter if it's a marketing report needing a brand voice check or a code review with extra security concerns. This system can handle it all.
That would be amazing. It's like having a whole army of assistants, all powered by PHP and LLMs.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop there. The book even talks about even more advanced things, like imagine using this to analyze RFPs, requests for proposals.
RFPs now, those are serious business. How would this even work for something that complex?
Well, think about what an RFP is, right? It's like this detailed breakdown of what a client needs. What if your system could instantly compare that RFP to all your company's solutions, your services, even past projects?
So I'd know right away how well we match up even before we start crafting a response. That's incredible.
You got it. It'd be like having an AI giving you the cheat sheet, highlighting potential problems, flagging your most relevant experience, even giving you a rough idea of the effort involved based on similar projects.
Yeah.
All automated, all thanks to PHP and LLMs.
That's next level stuff right there. It's like taking all that brain power we usually need for analysis and strategy and, well, automating it.
And that's the key here. We're not trying to replace human judgment, not at all. This is about having better tools, getting those insights faster. It's about freeing ourselves up from the busy work so we can focus on making the smart decisions.
Instead of getting bogged down in those manual processes that, let's face it, can be slow and error-prone, we have these intelligent systems that help us make the most of our own expertise.
And the best part, this is just the start. As LLMs keep getting more advanced, these tools will only get more powerful, more versatile.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We haven't just talked about PHP and LLMs, but how we can use them to honestly work smarter. This is giving me so many ideas.
It's an exciting time to be a developer, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.
I have a feeling I'll be putting all this to good use. And to everyone listening, keep experimenting, keep learning, and we'll be right here to break it all down for you. Until next time.